Hello again, squaddies. Welcome back once again to the Feudal Slayer's Guide series, and we are back in Ramsgate today to take a look at the updated version of the axe. Now, back in the original guide I did of this, the axe I mentioned as being basically nothing but raw power. It was a really slow weapon, and it had basically no extra range to help you get hits on distant behemoths. The power is still there, and the axe is still arguably the physically strongest weapon in the game per hit. But it's actually even slightly faster. But the big thing is that they added in the ability to use ranged attacks, specifically through the specials. There are, of course, two major specials, and then there's the Lady Luck one, which I'm not going to be talking about in this video. The two specials you have with the axe are these two. You have Flight of Ruin and Grim Onslaught. They both center around the same idea. You take your big axe, which is about the size of your average Slayer, and you throw it forward, like Mjolnir. And just like with Mjolnir, Flight of Ruin is actually geared around that, because, like I said, stir the axe, dealing 60 damage constantly and gaining 2 meter per hit, because Flight of Ruin will act like a buzzsaw. You throw it out, and it's basically a constantly active hitbox until it comes back. You can reactivate this to recall it at any point in the throw, and when your Slayer catches the axe, they'll do it a gigantic overhead swing to bring it down. Deals up to 500 damage, which is increased by determination, which I will talk about in just a moment, and you gain 15 meter. If it comes back on its own, you don't do the super attack, and you don't gain the extra meter. Now, the main difference there between Flight of Ruin and Grim Onslaught is that this Flight of Ruin is an active hitbox, like I said, the entire way out and the entire way in. Grim Onslaught, on the other hand, you just hurl it forward. It's going to do a single hit on a behemoth that it hits. If it hits like a smaller thing like a Styxian, which are little panther monsters, it'll go straight through them. But it will gain 15 meter on hitting a behemoth, and what it'll do is it'll bounce off of them into the air, and it'll highlight an area on the ground. You'll see that when I get to the split screen. If you catch the axe, you gain 30 extra meter. The best way to think of that is this is the spinning axes for Draven from League of Legends. Because if you can catch it, although it doesn't reset the cooldown on Grim Onslaught by catching it, but you gain extra benefits from doing so. Now, just as there are two specials that I have two of the mods. There's one I'm still missing because I'm not at level 16 with the axe yet. There is what I'm going to be using for this video, which is Lightweight Haft. This is the one you unlock at level 10 with the axe. It might be level 8. Because the attacks are still the same, where you have the chargeable heavy attacks, or you have the chargeable attacks on 1 and 3 in the combo, and with the horizontal one you can still move on the first charge. This way, with Lightweight Haft, you're actually a little bit faster than normal, and you don't cost stamina to do it. So I use Lightweight Haft because the charge attacks are super important with this. The one you start with is Volatile Axe Core. Charging attacks deals AoE damage to nearby enemies at each charge level. If you're confused about the wording on this, I understand, because I was at first too. It's not a case of you deal extra damage in an AoE when you attack. It's while you are charging that, so like as you're getting ready to take your swing with the charge attack, you'll be constantly putting out a little bit of AoE damage, and it goes up as you go up in charge levels. Not a lot, but it can actually do some good damage, and it'll actually speed up some hunts. But I prefer using Lightweight Haft because I like the ability to actually kind of sprint a little bit with the horizontal charge. Alright, we're going to go ahead and head out of there. We're going to bring up the move list. We're going to have the vertical attack and the horizontal attack. Grim Onslaught I talked about, you'll actually see it here. Just goes forward, bounces off, and you catch it in that area to get extra meter. Of course, the reason the charge attacks are so important is because of that meter. The charge attacks are how you get meter, but unlike the original where you could only gain meter from the charge attack, if you don't even have to hit with the charge attack, as long as you've done a charge attack, every hit after it will generate some meter. You'll gain more from the charge attack itself, I think. Now, I mentioned the word determination earlier. And determination is basically the axe's special trick, where if you hit with the... It depends a little bit on whether you're not using Grim Onslaught or Flight of Ruin. If you're using Flight of Ruin, it has to be the recall big hit. Whereas with Grim Onslaught, it's just you have to hit it with the initial throw. If you have a full meter, then you gain a stack, and you hit with one of those two conditions. Determination will activate, and you'll gain a stacking buff. This is actually important because normally it stacks to 3. It starts at 13%, goes to 30%, and then ends at 50% at level 3 for extra damage. With the axe, this is all your attacks. If you have the third mod, which is, I think it's Overclocked Core is what it's called, you instead can go up to a 4th level. I don't know how high that goes. But this is how you do a ton of damage per hit with the axe. And then you have Resolve. This only works on vertical charge attacks, but if you time it perfectly, and watch, you'll see the pulse of energy, the pulse of yellow energy coming off the Slayer. What that'll do is you cannot be staggered during that hit. So basically, you'll still take damage, but you can't be staggered. The other thing they changed is how the combos work. First off, just like with the Warpike, and I'll talk about that when we get to that video, you have combo crossovers. So up to the 3rd hit, you can swap between Horizontal Edge and Vertical Ripper at any point. Now, Horizontal Edge, you can charge the 1st and 3rd, just like you can move during the 1st charge attack, and then you can also add a 4th one after that, after the 3rd hit, to do a big overhead spin attack. Vertical Rippers had the biggest change, though. You can charge, again, the 1st and 3rd, but on the 4th one, that's where things can get kind of interesting, because you can just start swinging. As long as you have stamina, you can continue to swing that axe by attacking constantly. So Vertical Ripper is great for doing damage to downed behemoths. Alright, so I'm going to start off with Flight of Ruin, because that's the one you start with. And that'll be the one I'm talking about, or that'll be the hunt I'm talking with when I do the split screen. I'll see you guys in just a bit once I've found the Gnasher, and we're in the fight. Alright, there's the Gnasher. Let's go ahead and get started. Now you can see I'm not actually losing stamina. In fact, I gained back all the stamina I lost. But yep, I have to just build up some meter, which I'm having trouble doing mostly because the Gnasher just keeps on moving. Granted, random nut job comes at me with an axe, I'm probably going to move too. Alright, there you see I've got a full bar, so I'm going to go ahead and hit Q to throw out my axe. You see it's got active frames, and then right there I got the hit. You'll notice that the axe hit on the way out, but I didn't gain the stack of determination until I recalled it and basically tried to chop the Gnasher's tail off with that giant jumping slash. Now, just like in the old days, the determination will tick down as you just kind of exist. The cool thing is, it will only go down if you have the axe out, like if you're actually actively wielding it. So if I go ahead and put my axe up, oh, actually, I guess it's as long as you're in combat. Small misunderstanding for me there. But you'll notice I'm suddenly doing a lot more damage. To a degree. Also, the third hit in the chain that you can also charge is always going to be considered a vertical hit. Also, you might notice that that's actually a good thing right there. If you miss with your super attack, you don't lose the meter anymore, so that's great news. You just don't gain the level. But you'll see the active frames on the damage. Again, you just see me get a bounty complete there because I'm good at dodge. I'm actually not a bad dodger. Alright, that is a pretty good demonstration of the axe. I will probably cut out here, depending on how I have to sync this with the split screen. And I'll see you guys for the wrap-up. Don't go anywhere. Alright, squaddies. So there you saw the uses of Grim Onslaught and Flight of Ruin. If you want to do just raw burst damage, you probably want to go for Grim Onslaught because it does all of its damage in one big hit. But it does also, and it can also charge your meter a lot faster if you're good at catching the axe. It always seems to come back to the side that you hit on. So, for example, you saw me hit the Nasher and it came back towards me rather than going away. So it's not entirely like Draven from League of Legends, but it's a little bit nicer. Whereas if you want to do staggering a lot more often, you probably want to stick to using Flight of Ruin. It's a little bit more controllable, and if you miss, it's not quite as bad because you don't have to run to retrieve your axe. It will, since with Flight of Ruin, the axe is guaranteed to return to you. Now, again, the axe is all about hitting hard, but not very fast. But with these additional range attacks, it's pretty good. I will mention the Lady Luck mod, or the Lady Luck special, sorry. The Lady Luck special you can get is actually kind of a combination of the two. I don't know what it's called, but her special, you throw out the axe. If the axe hits and you catch it, you'll throw it again, and you can do this so I think you end up with a total of 3 throws of the axe, as long as you can throw and catch it reliably. Now, if you guys enjoyed this, feel free to drop a like on the video. You can also leave a comment down below if you have anything you'd like to say. There's a kid, somebody playing on the Switch, standing right behind me, I know. Really? But, like I was saying, you can leave a comment if you have something you'd like to say down below. And if you want to keep up with me never missing my current series, consider joining the squadron by subscribing to the channel. It does help me out, and I really do appreciate it. In closing, I do want to say that the original Axe Guide is, at last check, the most watched video on my channel. I'm wondering if this can beat it. Until next time, good night, and good gaming.